Lovely Princess Sophia had always gotten what she wanted, whenever she wanted it. As the only child of the wealthy and influential king and queen of Azura, she was used to being pampered and catered to. Everyone influential in the kingdom and beyond wanted to be near the beautiful princess, and they made her laugh and enjoy life as it was. One day, while attending a high society gala, Sophia spotted a handsome young man across the room. His name was Alexander, and he was the son of a wealthy businessman. Sophia was immediately smitten, and she decided that she had to have him. But Alexander was not interested in Sophia's advances. In fact, he found her spoiled and entitled attitude to be a major turn-off. Despite Sophia's best efforts to win him over, Alexander continued to reject her. Sophia was devastated. She had never been rejected before, and she didn't know how to handle it. She became obsessed with winning Alexander's heart, and she began to do whatever it took to make him hers. She showered him with expensive gifts, threw lavish parties in his honor, and even tried to manipulate him into spending time with her. But no matter what she did, Alexander continued to resist her charms. As the days turned into weeks, Sophia's behavior became more and more erratic. She began to neglect her royal duties, and her parents grew increasingly concerned about her well-being. "Sophia, you need to stop this," her mother, the queen, said one day. "You're going to hurt yourself, or worse, damage the reputation of our family." But Sophia wouldn't listen. She was convinced that she could win Alexander's heart, and she was willing to do whatever it took to make that happen. As the months passed, Sophia discovered she could not have Alexander, and it was a turning point for her. Her health began to decline. She was exhausted, stressed, and unhappy. Her parents were at their wits' end, and they didn't know what to do to help their daughter. It wasn't until Sophia collapsed at a royal ball, and was rushed to the hospital, that Alexander finally realized the extent of Sophia's devotion. He was by her side as she lay in the hospital bed, and for the first time, he saw the vulnerable and scared person beneath the spoiled princess exterior. As he looked into her eyes, Alexander felt a pang of guilt and regret. He realized that he had been too hard on Sophia, and that he had underestimated the depth of her feelings. "Sophia, please don't die," Alexander begged, holding her hand in his. "I was wrong to reject you. I realize now that I have feelings for you too." Sophia's eyes fluttered open, and she smiled weakly at Alexander. "I'm ill, Alexander, and I may not make it," she whispered. "No, Sophia, you must not die," Alexander said, still holding her hand. "I really do care about you." As they spoke, Sophia fainted and the doctor rushed in to take care of her. When she woke up, her parents and Alexander were all happy that she had survived. As Sophia recovered in the hospital, Alexander was by her side every step of the way. He brought her flowers, read to her, and even helped her with her physical therapy. And as they spent more time together, Alexander realized that he had fallen deeply in love with Sophia. He proposed to her on the day she was discharged from the hospital, and Sophia happily accepted. Their wedding was a lavish affair, with guests from all over the world in attendance. Sophia looked beautiful in her white wedding gown, and Alexander couldn't take his eyes off her as they exchanged their vows. As they danced at the reception, Sophia leaned in close to Alexander and whispered, "I'm glad I didn't give up on you." "Me too, my love," he replied. After the wedding, Sophia's parents were thrilled to see their daughter so happy, and they welcomed Alexander into their family with open arms. "You know, I've been thinking," Alexander said. "Now that we're married, I want to take you on holidays to recuperate. What do you say, something new?" Alexander raised an eyebrow. "What did you have in mind?" he asked. Sophia smiled. "I've always wanted to travel the world," she said. "To see all the amazing sights and experience different cultures. And I think now is the perfect time to do it." "Thanks, my love." Alexander's face lit up with excitement. "That sounds incredible," he said. "Let's do it." And so, Sophia and Alexander set off on the adventure of a lifetime. They traveled to exotic destinations, tried new foods, and met new people. They laughed and loved, and enjoyed every moment of their journey. As they traveled, Sophia realized that she had been given a second chance at life. She had been given the opportunity to experience the world in a new way, and to appreciate the beauty and wonder of it all. And she knew that she owed it all to Alexander. He had been her rock, her partner, and her best friend. He had stood by her through thick and thin, and had loved her unconditionally. As they sat on the beach, watching the sunset over the ocean, Sophia turned to Alexander, with tears in her eyes. "Thank you," she said. "Thank you for being my everything. I don't know what I would do without you." Alexander smiled and took her hand. "You'll never have to find out," he said. "I'll always be here for you, Sophia. Forever and always." And as they sat there, holding hands and watching the sunset, Sophia knew that she had found her true happily ever after. Alexander smiled and pulled her close. "I'm glad you didn't either," he said. As the months passed, Sophia and Alexander's love continued to grow. They faced challenges, of course, but they always found a way to work through them together. Sophia and Alexander settled into a happy routine. They spent their days exploring the kingdom, attending social events, and just enjoying each other's company. One day, Sophia discovered that she was pregnant. She was overjoyed, and she couldn't wait to share the news with Alexander. Alexander was thrilled when Sophia told him she was pregnant. He hugged her and kissed her, and they both cried tears of joy. Their child, a beautiful baby boy, was born 9 months later. They named him Prince Henry, and he brought immense joy to their lives. Sophia and Alexander were devoted parents, and they did their best to give Prince Henry a happy and stable childhood. As Prince Henry grew up, Sophia and Alexander continued to love and support each other. They faced difficulties in taking care of the baby, but they always found a way to work things out together. Their parents were very happy because all their lost hope of having an heir to the throne was wiped out and their hopes kindled with the addition of a grandson. Years later, Sophia and Alexander sat on their porch, holding hands and watching their grandchildren play in the garden. They looked at each other, and Sophia smiled. "Do you remember when we first met?" she asked. Alexander chuckled. "How could I forget?" he replied. "You were this beautiful, spoiled princess who thought she could buy me with her wealth and status." Sophia laughed. "I was a bit of a handful, wasn't I?" she said. Alexander smiled. "You were worth it," he said. "I'm so glad I got to know the real you, Sophia." Sophia's eyes filled with tears as she looked at Alexander. "I'm glad too," she said. "I love you." Alexander squeezed her hand. "I love you too, Sophia." In the end, Sophia and Alexander's love story was one of true devotion and happiness. They lived happily, surrounded by their loving family and friends. Sophia finally learned the value of true love, and the importance of respecting the feelings of others.